Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and especially for all Mobile Legends fans. You are watching the English stream of the Mobile Legends Bang Bang Professional League Season number 4, Week 3, Day 5. And of course, we have a lot of action packed series stored for you today. And just to make a small recap, we have Signal Ultra versus EVOS Esports PH for our first series. Onage versus Sunsparks, SGD Omega versus Archangel Esports, and to top it all off, we have Execration versus Onyx PH for our last series. And of course, we are your storytellers for our English cast. My name is TDZ. We have Swarly and Wonder Drift. Gentlemen, how are you today? What are you feeling today, man?
I'm so hyped. It's my first time casting in our new venue, and it
Yeah,
feels so upgraded
yeah, it
co-
is. It is
compared
sure.
to the last time.
Mhm.
And I'm between two very tall casters here. So among the species I am today.
Mhm.
I, I am super energetic because for those of you watching, this is actually my very first time casting MPL Philippines.
Well,
So,
Yeah,
congratulations.
yep, indeed.
welcome
So
aboard.
it's a huge honor, no doubt. I mean, when you witness all of these professional Philippine Mobile Legends teams going head to head, you really feel something like the energy, the atmosphere is going to be different. The
That's
fact
true.
that, of course, these are people who devoted their entire lives playing Mobile Legends and becoming legends in the Philippines scene. Certainly, there's a lot at stake, no doubt.
Indeed, a lot at stake indeed. And as you can see, for our first series, we have Signal Ultra up against EVOS Esports PH. What are your thoughts about that? We're seeing Signal Ultra, the previous champions. Yeah,
Season
they're
2 though.
really struggling when it comes to well group stages. When it comes to our rankings right now, they're currently at the top nine out of 10. Well, out of 10 teams that we have right now. So, what are your thoughts about that?
It's
Signal
very
Ultra, what are the things that they need to be done?
it's very unfortunate for Signal because they have the heart of a champion because they have won it all before. But unfortunately, that is the beauty of MPL right now. All of these new bloods, Onyx, they're just and others, Geek Fam, they're just shaking things up, and it's so good.
Yeah, what I noticed about Signal Ultra in that previous matchup against like a Sunsparks, we were thinking this team could actually they have a really great game number one. Like they were dominating each lane, and Sunsparks certainly might not have any room to recover. But then all of a sudden, here comes the G strategy, and Signal Ultra fell for it. Like Rafflesia was playing as Joe, and he was single-handedly destroying towers on the other lanes, while the other members of Signal Ultra were actually taking team fights, which is very odd because we all know that Signal Ultra is a team that's so good playing on the defensive end, and then all of a sudden you got cheesed by this Joe just single-handedly destroying towers. So Signal Ultra would certainly want to avoid a situation like that.
That's true indeed. And we're talking about the cheese strats. Again, we're seeing new heroes being picked by all of our teams right here. We have Estes. We
Yep.
have Terizda, Rafflesia as well. And I think there was one moment that we've seen Lapu Lapu strats.
Oh
There's
yeah.
a lot of things we're able to build up right here, especially for this season. And I think Signal Ultra, they have a lot of time. They have plenty of time to adjust when it comes to their playstyle, when it comes to their draft. But they're up against, well, by the way, before we go to EVOS PH, they're up against Sunspark, you mentioned earlier.
Yep.
Well, previously, Bren No Limit or Bren Limitless.
Yep.
And they were also got defeated by Bren Esports on the group stage. So do you think that Bren is really much better than Signal Ultra? Or are there any things that they need to work on?
It's actually a bit 50-50 because in the previous month in the other Mobile Legends tournaments, we've seen Signal Ultra actually be at the top of their game.
Mm.
But at the same time, we see at this tournament, Bren is actually making a lot of progress. Like in that previous Mobile Legends tournament that Bren and Signal joined, Bren was actually on a learning curve. Like it was just an adjustment period
Hmm.
because they lost like one of their coaches. They lost their coach on that tournament itself, on like the group stages itself. So it was a major adjustment. And now it felt like the adjustments have already occurred, like the learning curve has already happened or growth on the side of Red Esports, and it actually worked a lot at their favor. I mean, so far, Mitch's presence has been very significant for the side of Red.
That's true. And again, Signal Ultra, well, let's see if they can at least get that momentum back from our previous weeks. Ben, right now we have EVOS Esports PH Swarley. After Bren, again, Payne, previously from Bren, went to, or EVOS Esports acquired Payne as a coach. So what are the strengths and also what are the weaknesses of EVOS PH right now,
Well,
Swarley?
I can't really say the particular strength, but I can say that getting Pain aboard is taking some time for them
Yeah.
because Because right now, you see the adjustment period. Especially since week number one, they were like doing questionable dives behind the enemy base. Like why? Why would you do that, Evos?
That's true.
And it was really pain, and I'm sure pain was scratching his head. And right now they still have some time to adjust, as you said. It's almost halfway of the season. Both of these teams, this is a very important match for them because like coming into the halfway point, you want to get in with a win because both of you are in the lower half right now. You're in the cesspool, unfortunately,
That's
of,
true.
of the group. So you want to get out of there.
Quite interesting point right here for Mr. Swarley. But ladies and gentlemen, what are well, we've seen how both of these teams play, and
Yeah.
for sure, but that both of these teams have already done their homework. They've studied each other, how they can
Yeah.
play it out. But who are the players that we are actually looking for, rooting for, or looking for them to get that drive, get that momentum for their teams?
In my opinion, has to be, for Evos in particular, Dupin has to be a lot more consistent. Because a lot of, he's actually like a 50-50. He's a double-edged sword most of the time. Either you see a very good Dupin game or a very bad Dupin game. He has no in between.
All right. On the side of Signal Ultra, I would have to say Desenia has a lot to offer because so far, every time Signal Ultra wins, it's all on Desenia. Like, he makes this one significant play that could actually change the team fight. Like, I've seen that before, like, when he played Harrod and he stole the Lord away from SGD Omega in that previous Mobile Legends tournament. And then add the fact that every time he plays Kadita and he goes for the Breath of the Ocean onto 3 or 4 members, it really helps Signal Ultra gain that momentum. So certainly he's like the difference maker, also like the playmaker for the side of a Signal Ultra. And certainly there's a lot at stake when he plays these signature heroes that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, we're talking about the signature heroes right now. Comfort picks. Again, we're seeing the Signal Ultra picking their comfort picks previously. I think that was against Bren, if I'm not mistaken. That was a really intense fight. But we've seen Dupen, especially when it comes with Evos. Um, I think that was Haji who played out Gushin before. But there was a time where Dupen was given an opportunity for him to play Gushin, but it really fell down. You mentioned earlier that Dupen were having a really difficult time. There was a time that where he's really on the go, but he's really falling really short right now for the season. But let's see, ladies and gentlemen, Signal Ultra and EVOS PH for our first series. In a few, we will see the current draft. But what are your expectations? What are your predictions for our first series?
I can't edge any of them out right now with the way they're playing.
Uh,
Because
Not without the drafts yet.
without the draft, with the way they're playing, both of them are struggling. So whatever happens, I just feel there's gonna be a 2-1.
In
It's
favor
not.
of?
I don't know yet.
I
I
know.
don't know yet.
But for sure, it will be a 2-1 because again, both of these
just
teams.
think it's gonna be a 2-1 because both of them need this morale boost, and I don't think any of them will just roll over and let the other sweep the other.
I feel like Evil's PH, I mean, they're certainly on the rise. I mean, of course, after that 0-2 defeat against Brent Esports, which was definitely way embarrassing, you watch all the replays and see. But so far, they've shown some progress. Like, they're able to snatch up a victory over one of the most dominant teams in the Philippine Mobile Legends scene, which is none other than Exfiltration. So, when I saw that victory on the side of Evil's PH, maybe this team could actually go online. I mean, especially against Signal Ultra. But given the experience of Signal Ultra, I would say I'd give the Signal Ultra on a 2-1 advantage.
A 2-1 advantage. Well, for me as well, I think I'll go with the same flow, 2-1, because again, I've seen both of these teams right here. Signal Ultra, they were named the comeback kings.
Yeah.
So,
For a reason.
for a reason.
Yeah.
Because for sure, if EVOS PH, for me, they're more of a high tempo play.
Yeah.
They need to provide a lot of space for Dupen, especially for their core heroes.
Yeah.
And once they have that, they can snowball easily. So again, ladies and gentlemen, 2-1 for all three casters right here. And in a few, we will see the draft. But I think looking at the faces of our players right here, they're more confident. They're
Oh,
really
yes.
struggling. They need to get that point because we're talking about points right now. We have a new point system. Again, this is wins minus losses.
Yes.
So you need to get those 2-0s as soon as possible. Every point counts.
I really like this new point system that they tried out because like it gives more importance to your group stage. Like sometimes if it's the group stage, it's okay to just lose a match. You don't really care if you're already up there. But if you're up there and you lose 0-2, that's gonna take out so much of your advantage. Like you could fall all the way like 4 or 5 places even, depending on how close the series. I mean the standings are.
Yes, certainly. I actually have to admit that when I first saw the format, I was like, it kind of looks a bit intimidating, like it's right minus wrong in an exam, but then all of a sudden,
Right minus wrong.
True. It's
Oh,
like you're going back to
university,
high school, right?
university PTSD, right there.
Well, I really thought so. But looking at our group standings here, we have top one. We have Onyx PH with currently 6 wins and 2 losses. It's 4 points. Sun Sparks 5 wins, 2 losses. But let's look at well, Signal Ultra right now. Just like what we mentioned earlier, they're currently on top nine or ninth spot. 2 wins, 6 losses, minus 4 points. And with EVOS PH, we have eighth place. We have 2 wins and 5 losses. We have total of minus 3 points. So they really need to get that 2-0 win.
yeah, definitely,
It
yeah.
could be the difference of making it into the playoff stage
Mhm.
and not for these two. Because they are right beside each other right now. So
Yep.
it's basically like double the points. Because if you lose 2-0, you're going to create so much distance between you and either Signal or Evos,
Mhm.
whoever.
And I think that really matters because way back before, all of our fans were actually saying that, yeah, they will just throw out the game. It's just 1 point. But right now, ladies and gentlemen, with this new point system, I really think that there will be no throws at all. There's no reason because all teams are hungry, especially all of those new teams that were actually showing up right now. Onyx, PH, Geek
Onyx.
Fam, yeah.
Onyx
So
is so fun to watch.
I agree.
I have to agree, no doubt. Like I really love the play style that they actually deployed, even in the during the knockout stages. I mean, not on the knockout stages, on the qualifiers themselves. Onyx
Mhm.
V8 was actually so entertaining to watch because of their movement. They were just going aggressive. They were constantly harassing whoever they were up against, and that's actually the beauty on the side of Onyx Esports. And most of the teams we have here in this scene are currently unprepared for what they have to offer.
That's true. Well, Onyx took the Philippines scene by surprise. But of course, that's a very big name, Onyx PH. Well, originally Onyx Indonesia, so
Yep.
they have a lot of shoes to fill in. So, but it really looking at the standings, they have a little
They're
bit
not
a lot.
they're not playing like the newcomer.
Uh
They're
huh.
not playing
Yeah.
like the
They're more like a
qualifier
veterans.
teams. Yeah.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
like
veteran.
everyone is chasing them
Uh
right
huh.
now, which is like crazy if you think about it. Because they're rookies.
Hmm.
Yep.
They're supposed to be inexperienced
Yeah.
at the highest level, but they're making it look easy, which is why I really have to hand it to them. Like I am already a fan of Onyx the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Oh.
I mean, Onyx.
Their logo is the
Yeah,
hedgehog.
it is indeed a
It's a
hedgehog.
proper
Yeah,
hedgehog.
true.
I mean, I have to give it to Onyx. Like during the qualifiers, when they were interviewed, they were asked like, "Who is the one team that you want to face in MPL Philippines?" They answered, "It's Archangel. We're going straight to the defending
Uh,
champions."
let,
My reaction is like, really? They got the confidence,
let,
they got the guts to challenge the champions
Look at it
themselves.
this way. Look at it this way. Onyx are playing their own brand of Mobile Legends, right?
Yeah,
You remember what Archangel did in week one of the
yeah,
season? They ran a Hellkurt and a Leomord
Yep, that's true.
side
Yeah.
by side, jungling in the early 10 to 15 minutes, which was insane. Like we were just like, is this meta? And
This
then
is the new
is
meta.
this the new meta? And like after the game, we were just bewildered. We just went straight into Panda. We just asked why he did that. Because it was a good pick at the time. That was simply his answer.
Well, I really think well, draft is a really big thing right here because again, we're seeing new metas, well, new heroes being picked by all of the teams. I even saw a Tri Fighter competition without any tanks.
yeah.
I think that was Geek Fam within
Yeah.
Estes. So again, with the sustainability of Estes, Moonlight Immersion, Legends Ultimate, I think that really shapes up this new since we're still on our week three, it's almost half of our season. But are we looking at all the teams now trying to adapt? Because again, we're still we still have a hangover with our previous season three meta. But with this, I think the team that will actually arise will be the one who can easily adapt can use the new meta properly. But what are your thoughts about that? Do you think that Signal Ultra will try to change their playstyle, or will it be Evo Speech sticking with their current comfort picks?
I would have to say that Signal Ultra, of course, we do know them as Such,
just right there.
I was really shocked about that, man. I didn't
they
expect
improved.
that.
They improved, okay? They improved.
Yeah.
That's execution, all right? You have to hand it to them.
Yeah, well, I really do agree because again, you just need to find your own tempo. You just need to find a way because again, all the teams are currently adjusting. They're all playing aggressively right now, so we need to agree at some point with that. But Marley, do you have any thoughts on Signal versus Evos right here when it comes to this play style that we're talking
Well,
about?
I think we've said most of what could be said at this point, but I really want to point out that we're going into the as far as I know, there's a mid-season break, right? Like after 3 weeks, it's gonna be a week. Is that correct? Right? Or I'm not sure if that's correct this time around. Last season we did that, and I think that's such a big turning point for the United teams. Especially like if we do have that mid-season break this time around, Expert is gonna be up once after the break.
Oh.
Right? Once after the break.
Oh.
And Vipers, who are reliable, in my opinion.
And it's more about export because we have a 2 weeks penalty, especially for those new heroes that came into the land of Dawn. But I think Kufra is already available right now, which has been restricted for quite a long time.
Fixed his bouncing ball.
Yeah, because there was a problem, but based on the recent patch or update for the Mobile Legends, I think it was already fixed. So I think we already have a go time or an okay for the Kufra pick. But with that Kufra pick, because it's been a while, honestly saying, we're really struggling getting those tank picks. One of the most contested roles is the tank.
Yeah.
Remove the Grok, remove all the Minotaur as well. But do you think that it will change even the meta even further if the Kufra is already
because
available?
we're already kind of walking away from the double tank meta with the sustained meta that is making somewhat of a comeback with Rafaela and Estes. Before it was Beleric, right, and the Diggy. Now it's actually proper supports, and it's interesting because these supports sometimes they do go for that focusing mark emblem,
Yeah.
and it helps you just burst down.
That's an additional 6%
Yes,
damage
which is
for
huge.
all your allies.
That's basically like a high-end dry, an extra high-end dry if
Yeah.
you think about it.
That's true. And also, well, on top of that, if you're going to use it to, for example, Grok or with that AoE, all of those targets will have that -6 or that additional 6% damage. But what are your thoughts on the trip?
Well, if you look at this current meta about the Kufra being available, it could be like a first option tank for most teams because we see a lot of aggressive rotations nowadays, and Kufra could actually be the hero that could potentially stop these early aggressors because of his bouncing ball. It really intimidates a lot of teams or a lot of like heroes to just constantly move around the map. Like, of course, we see a lot of Harith, we see a lot of Gushan being deployed because of their overall mobility. We see the additional movement speeds of Lilia as well, which has been so effective. And so far, you got that Kufra pick, and that could be the potential difference maker for anyone who plays Kufra.
I agree. Well, I've been spamming Kufra a lot, so I really think that, because all of his skill sets are all disabled. Again, you have the Tyrant's Revenge, you have the Tyrant's Rage getting that AoE
Definitely a
stun.
tyrant, huh?
Yeah, really a tyrant. And also the bouncing ball. Again, it will force your enemy not to use the flicker, which is, I think, a really big impact when it comes to team fights.
Plus, I think like Kufra is one of those heroes who can just set up his own ultimate because of that dash into the Tyrant's Rage, which is like very interesting. Because like looking at other tanks who are relevant right now, yes, you have a Minotaur, but he doesn't always have that rage. So he can't just start a fight whenever he feels
At a very
like it.
long range. Again, if you max out the Tyrant's Revenge, it's way too far, and you can initiate really far.
Very elastic, that man.
Yeah, a really elastic Batman right there.
I mean, I have to agree. I mean, Kufra, every time he hides on the grass and he set up the perfect combo, like he sets up the perfect execution strike on whoever he's up in front, because it's going to be a surprise factor for anyone that goes up against Kufra, indeed. Like, I've seen that during the qualifiers where the Kufra was nowhere to be seen in the map. Like, of course, the opposition clearly did not expect like a jumpy Kufra out of nowhere, and it actually changed the team fight because like 3 members were affected with a crowd control prowess that this hero could potentially deploy against you.
Yeah, it's really dangerous. Again, getting that surprise factor, getting that a little bit of seconds or a few moments where the enemy cannot respond, and well, they can also capitalize with that. They're getting that kill. So I really think that will change the tempo of our meta right now. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I'm really excited to see how Signal Ultra will try to get that tempo back, because again, they're really on the ninth spot.
They want this win.
Surprising. It is really surprising.
Both of these are very hungry
Mhm.
for that win, because it's going to create so much separation, because we do know the bottom two teams are not going to make it into the playoffs.
Yeah.
So, make or break. Both
Eh, eh.
9 and 8. 9th and 8th,
Mhm.
these two are. So a win could secure them basically a spot.
Indeed,
in that
and
playoff.
well,
A
you
clean
don't
win,
want
at
that
least.
to
A
happen
clean win,
for
at
all
least.
new teams, because again, you have a responsibility that you need to be on the top, because you are you are actually a very top caliber team right there. And well, Signal Ultra, I really think that well, looking at our players right here, they're quite ready. We're just doing a little bit of ping test
Yes.
for making sure that our players will have a very soft, very smooth rather play style right here. And yeah, what more can we actually discuss about this? Because again, both of these teams are really top notch. Again, they knew the communications are on point. It's just all about the execution. And one of the troubles, or one of the things that they need to look up to, is their power spikes, I guess. Because Signal Ultra, way back before, when they were up against Bren, I thought that was week 2. They already had it, but
Yeah.
they're losing that wave, or that curve where yes, you're under your power spike, but suddenly it just fell out all of a sudden.
Yeah, that certainly is a mistake that every team has to avoid, because, for example, in week number 2, I saw Archangel make that mistake, you know, against a Geek Fam. Like, they were so confident that they could actually win this matchup with them forgetting that there's this Hayabusa player who's actually constantly slowly farming up. And they just completely they weren't able to handle him. Like, of course, they got the perfect distraction tactics, aka Archangel had the Selena with the traps to make sure the Hayabusa would not make any impact. But then the adjustments were made, leaving the Hayabusa so much freeing space to like constantly farm up, which is something that, of course, teams would certainly want to avoid. Any minimal mistakes in this series we have between EVOS and Signal Ultra has to be avoided, because you're definitely desperate to go for a 2-0 sweep against your
Definitely.
opposition.
Definitely, just basically securing that playoff spot, as we just talked about. And since this is a fairly new patch,
It is.
I'd like to point out that the shutdown goal has actually been increased. I like the direction that Moonton is going.
Yeah.
That there is actually a rubber band threat now, because that is something that the previous iterations of MPL actually lacked, but the comebacks didn't really happen. Because if you won the lanes, if you got the first two turtles, you could just barrel down the
Yeah.
objectives. And now, if you are dominating and if you die, you give all that much more gold to the opponent. And I think Moonton really should go towards that direction.
Yeah, and again, we're talking about objectives right now. Turtles, towers, getting that power spikes, and also dominating the early game. I think we've talked about this earlier, Swarley, that the Kimi. Again, we talked about the Kimi, or I think that was Wonder, if I'm not mistaken. But Kimi with
yeah,
the Mage emblem.
Mage killer
Mage
emblem.
killer.
Mage killer
Mage
emblem.
killer. Just the objective taking.
Yep, just objective taking.
It just amps it up so much. Yes, we did talk about that.
Yeah.
I'm not sure when, but we have.
Yeah, you mentioned that was 80% win rate for the Kimi.
Kimi is an 80% win rate, which is surprising, really, because how many marksmen are still relevant right now, right? So they're not a lot. So for you to pick a hero that is almost, as far as I know, she's almost 100% contested. Pick ban.
Pick or bans.
Or, yeah, pick or ban. So it's crazy that you have that high of a win rate for a hero that is just always there in the first pick.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good thing about Kimi. He's a hybrid. He's a marksman. He's a mage, because his basic attacks are like it's like a typical marksman, where you just rely on your basic attacks to do damage. But then you can also transition to a mage, because when he gets these magic damage items and then he pops that ultimate, that really helps a lot in team fights. And then, of course, his basic attacks are so crucial with the Mage Killer emblem, like a 20%, like a 20% increase in like damage with turrets and turtles.
It's itemized towards
If
it
you
as
if
well.
the item is properly,
If you
just
collect
one
the reward.
BOD.
Yeah,
That's
well,
really
the towers will rather the turrets will
It's
melt.
crazy.
Yeah. No
Plus,
doubt.
you know, the thing about Kimmy, right? Because sometimes it can be hard to hit the enemies when she goes pew pew pew.
Yeah, that's true.
But
that's
if
true.
it's a turret, you're not missing that thing. You're gonna hit every single time. And with Ninja Killer, you're gonna get the objective so much more faster.
And we're talking about emblems right now. We've seen a lot of adjustments, especially that was week 2, where we've seen Carrie picking out that weakness finder instead of going for the bounty hunter. And I really think that it was a big impact currently in the meta right now. We are learning how to adjust not only by the items, not only by the spells, and also by the emblems. And I think that really helps a lot of, especially for the new teams to get that upper edge, or at least a little bit of advantage against our top caliber teams. I really think that we might see a lot of new emblem combinations for all of the heroes.
I really like it because, you know, you don't want to just go with the status quo every single time. You want to make your own meta, which is what Onyx is doing right now, and everyone is just adjusting. So if other teams actually think of something new and make it work for them, it will actually cause Onyx, for example, to adjust towards them.
Yeah.
Which is what's great, because there's so many variations of emblems and we really just keep on seeing the same ones over and over again.
Yeah, certainly. It's actually very beneficial because it actually helps the Mobile Legends scene grow because,
Exactly.
of course, we see the same tactics most of the time, but then all of a sudden here comes Rafaela, here comes Estes coming out of the picture, and then here comes a carry with a different emblem because we normally associate carry as a late game specialist because of that bounty hunter emblem, but then when you actually switch the emblem, that actually allows carry to adjust to be more of like an early to mid game aggressor, which is something we've never seen before. And I like it.
And I think to that, to the things that we haven't seen before, the 3 fighters from Geek Fam. Well, there was an opportunity, or there was a moment where Onich picked that one first, to pick that kind of draft first. Try fighters into just 2 emblems. But let's talk about that later on, ladies and gentlemen. We're up into our game 1 for our first year, Signal Ultra Warriors, Signal Ultra versus EVOS PH.
Yep, and certainly we're going to have a mid lane skirmish here with Disdain, at the mid lane. But now we just introduced the 2 teams, indeed, Signal Ultra with the blue team, with you going to be playing as Carry. Easton's going to be playing as your Thamus. You got Tet's going to be playing as Kufra, Disdain as your Kagura, and you got D is going to be playing as your Kaja.
And EVOS PH with the first export
play.
of MPL, Honda on the Terizla Killer on his export, Haji on that Cushion, Rupen on that Lilia, and Dexter on his Franco. This is going to be an interesting one. I was not expecting an export already.
Yeah,
We talked about it.
I really
there should be that 2-week ban, but apparently the 2 weeks is done.
So I think that really changed a lot, and this is quite a surprise. We have 2 new heroes who got really in the open, or rather a nice bouncing ball, but rather Export is way too strong. As you can see, half of his HP is armor, and he can just get it every single time once the gauge on those equips, or rather those heroes, are full. So I think the utility of this Export is really high. He's way too strong right now, even after the nerf from the reset patch. But what do you think, or what kind of impact this Export can do?
Expert is a lot squishier than he was once, but still, he can do that pure damage. That is crazy. If you max the temperature on a hero, you are going to be dealing a lot of damage. So you can actually focus on getting a bit tankier than normal, and then later on down the line, if you want to hit harder, that is when you go for it, because you have to adjust. But still, he has that Firaga armor, which is one of the most interesting passives in the game. You just pick up the armor, you get more tankier.
Yep, indeed. Plus, the fact
Turtle
that with this
resurrecting
export,
soon.
it actually makes Signal Ultra adjust. Like, one thing you have to watch out if you're Signal Ultra is you don't want to go to choke points, because Export, he could actually bode well with choke points because of the fact that he's got his ultimate, which actually combines perfectly well with Terizla when he goes for that penalty zone, which is something Signal Ultra has to avoid at all costs.
That is indeed a very good point here, but into the mid turtle area, we've seen both of the teams here trying to contest, but Division again getting that kill, and also with the bouncing ball, penalty zone into 3, and EVOS might get caught out, getting sandwiched by Signal Ultra, but Killer is also here by the top lane. Eson trying to run away from the skills, and also the Shadow Blade Starter is way too high, and Killer getting another kill into D, and that's a 2 for, I think that was 2 for 0 exchange.
That fried chicken was so fast. That was faster than your favorite fast food place when Export took out that Kasha.
Well,
you see how much damage he was doing? Like max temp, just deleted that gadget.
I really think that is
Risky fried
really
goodness.
intense for Killer right here. As you can see from the bottom lane, he just transition to the mid lane, just win the fight.
Yep, indeed. Just don't forget that Gushon had the most important objective, going for that turtle. And of course, Haji certainly deserves a salute, but hold that thought though, there's a bouncing ball onto Killer. Will he get chased down there? Certainly he will, but he will not go down, and it's actually a good use of the survivability that we just talked about Export.
That was unfortunate. That was a very good bouncing ball from the Kufra, but with no follow-up, you really want to shut down this Killer as soon as possible because he only has like, what, 4 bars of HP?
Yeah.
Any follow-up would have secured that kill, but still, got away with that one, Killer. Got away with murder, basically.
Get away with murder as well, but right now Signal Ultra trying to clear out their side of the jungle, but as you can see, EVOS is just patiently waiting inside the brush, looking for that iron hook, but the iron hook will miss, and Desanya knew that the rest of EVOS PH are just, they're all missing. So again, what are the best things to do is just try to scout out, try to steal all of their resources, get that advantage, and talking about advantage, Signal Ultra rather is or rather EVOS PH have that advantage, almost 1,200 gold, and that will resort of much more better items, scaling to our 5-minute mark.
The next turtle is going to be up very, very quick.
Oh!
Top Samus was just deleted over in the top lane. That was faster than fast.
I mean, if you look at it, EVO's PH actually had the hold that thought though. Loco gets caught there, and this could be a disaster though. Stupid. Can he actually run away? He gets slaughtered there in my view. Here comes the revenge strike as well. Signal Ultra with the counterplay. They go for the DJ on the Honda. However, he still got space, and no, he still goes down. Now Dexter trying to help his team, but here comes Haji with a surprise factor. There he goes, but can he actually survive through this? But you got Tens jumping in, and the right click damage my view is just making sure that Iron Hook
Oh
out of
my god, that
nowhere.
was a beautiful hook from the player on Desenia. They still want to go for this, but no, Desenia's just gonna run away. He's gonna be happy with that. You take our guy.
We'll take one of yours as well.
Yeah, we'll take one of
Oh
yours.
my goodness, but looking at the items right here, ladies and gentlemen, Signal Ultra getting that a little bit of momentum swing, but
Maybe
after
with
that iron hook, that really changed a lot when it comes to our stats, ladies and gentlemen, and also 4-0-0 for Haji on his Gushin, and on top of the Mystic Shop, so or rather Mystery Shop, so that's a really fast itemization for Haji here. I think they really need to get, or at least take advantage of this momentum for EVOS PH, but slowly I think they're trying to get that turtle. Dupin.
Signal don't know this.
Yeah, this is actually pretty good for EVOS because this is like the second turtle they're gonna get, and their Gushon is 4-0. And now he's got the second turtle as well, so that's gonna be a lot of space for EVOS PH to actually dictate the mid and late game.
We'll not connect there for Dexter, but looking at the tail of our 2 mages over in the mid lane, Kagura on for Desenia is actually 0, 0, and 3, which is not really what you want. You want to be picking up those skills, especially if you are the tempo control of your team. And Desenia, he's not getting that right now.
Oh, right here in the bottom lane, Dexter trying to run away, but the damage, the speedy light wheel from View is way too high. Even Gushin doesn't have any opportunity to get that revenge kill. But as you can see, getting that turtle buff, that additional pure damage is still not enough against this Kufra. Kufra, whenever he uses his bouncing ball, that's a lot of magic and defense resistance right here. But Signal Ultra able to take down one turret away from EVOS PH, getting that accessibility into the lower jungle area. But EVOS here in the top lane using his ultimate killer, taking a lot of damage, plus the damage from the Shadow Blade Slaughter.
Oh my god.
Dance was just deleted. The new exploit really reminds me of the old Esmeralda when she would get like full HP shields.
Yeah.
This one is like getting full armor, so you know, throwback.
Yeah.
I think we have our new Esmeralda, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, of course, you got that export, and you got Haji was able to rack up something in that team fight. So that's a lot of momentum there on the side of EVO's PH. Like, they're already dictating the top lane. But on the other hand, Signal Ultra is actually dominating the bot lane. They're able to get this tier 1 tower. So it's a pretty even exchange and encounter so far in these clashes. But so far, EVO has the advantage in, like, getting these turtles. And, of course, as long as they constantly rack it up, that actually could create space for the likes of Haji to like potentially snowball all the way to the late game. Even the Kufra might not be able to like deny this Gushon pick.
Speaking of the late game, I'm not really sure. EVOS, they do not have a much on their lineup actually.
Yeah.
So, if they manage
Turtle
to take it late, who
resurrecting
can
soon.
stand toe-to-toe against that carry?
That's the thing, because again, you need to respect that that carry, the amount of space, or rather the positioning of carry every single time. And I think that's one of the reasons why they also pick up that iron hook. But you knew that Iron Hook is a skill shot. There's
Yeah.
still an opportunity that you will miss it. And once you miss that opportunity, well, Signal Ultra can really change this or change the tide of the scenario if ever that will happen.
Yes,
Yes, indeed. So, of course, Haji certainly has a lot to offer in this matchup because he's like the only person that could actually deal with this like he could deal with Few, because so far he could just immediately jump in and then that could actually potentially burst out Few. But of course, it really depends with Few's teammates if they could actually defend Few against Haji.
Kets is actually watching the whole Evo's PH lineup by himself right now. So I must say, very, very brave man or very, very stupid. So I don't know, but now he has realized that I'm out of there. I'm gonna run away.
Well, again, there was a line where there's a thin line between bravery and stupidity. But then again, nice initiation here, Haji, ladies and gentlemen. But again, Signal Ultra taking one objective away from Evo's PH, which is, again, this is the second turret that's been taken down without any contest at all. But Evo's PH right now, I think they're just waiting for at least one more core item here for Gashin, or I think they're just looking for a nice opportunity here. Honda getting that, again, penalty zone will be used, but it's way too far though. Three members from Signal Ultra way behind. And as you can see, the damage is way too high. Haji taking down Kaja, not even using his ultimate there, but Haji still getting that free kill with the Iron Hook. Dexter might be able to get it, but again, the Phantom dashes from Few, making him survive that kind of engagement, and also Haji getting that another kill. 3-for-1 exchange, and also nice positioning from Few here. Few might able to run away. No, the damage is not there. And also Killer to cut him off. He got sandwiched. 4-for-1 for Evo's PH.
Caught between a rock and a hard place, that View one. And I would like to point out that Evo's PH's lineup likes these sustained, prolonged team fights because they have a Lilia whose Gloom actually levels up the longer the fight goes, as well as Killer. The longer he hits the missiles on the enemy, the temperature will go up and it should do so much more damage.
All that thought though, as Honda's trying to defend it. He's trying to make sure, that's a nice Lord's Lane there on the side of Evo's PH. They certainly got that momentum. That's a really good defensive stand.
That was one pixel away from connecting.
Oh, that's a beautiful hook indeed. But we did talk about that team fight early on the top lane. I think the positioning of Haji was so crucial. He was just waiting for Tets to just waste his bouncing ball before he actually jumped in. And he was actually looking at other targets while Signal Ultra already had that bouncing ball on the Tets, which is something that Evo's PH will certainly have to do in every team fight, and something that Signal Ultra would have to adjust as this match progresses.
See how tanky Killer was in that last fight as well. He was just frontlining everything. He's not itemizing tanky at all. He's just relying on his passive. And if you manage to pick up those scraps of metal as soon as they drop, it's basically a burst heal.
Yep, that's also an additional armor. Getting that Firago armor enables you to use your ultimate. But right now, here's the bottom lane. Lord is already marching into the penalty zone, catching two enemy heroes. But Honda getting ripped apart by Few with his speedy light wheel. But still, the Lord marching forward. Well, rather, Evo's Killer on the top lane trying to cut up the wave. But now that the Lord has been taken out, again, Evo's PH doesn't want to give that opportunity, even taking down another turret away from Signal Ultra. They're now storming in, trying to get that right angle, trying to get that right opportunity for them to go in, but I think the minions are way too far. They will just disengage.
Yeah, certainly, and this is like a very annoying factor by Signal Ultra, the fact that they have to deal with the sustain and the initiation attempts that Evo's PH has to deploy in front of them. So Signal Ultra, this is like, wow, this is something, this is a mountain to climb in. Like this same, of course, certainly has a lot to offer together with you. Certainly, they will be the ones to do the primary damage in this game. I mean, they have the items needed, but so far, the tankiness factor by Evo's PH is just too much in this game.
And that's just the expert. We talked about no marksman for Evos, but looking like they won't let it reach into that late game when that will become a problem because they're just taking objectives left and right. It's going to be a while for the next Lord, but still, they are ahead, so they will just suffocate Signal Ultra within their base right now. Take away all of the resources possible.
Take away all the resources, choke them out inside their base, not giving them any opportunity to get that gold and experience to come back. But right now, Signal Ultra really struggling inside. They're looking for at least a little bit of opening that Evo's PH can do. But looking at the items here, Haji with the lightning trenchant, and also again another defense item here for Killer.
Even more tankier.
Even more tankier.
Having a hard time
definitely.
killing him with no.
I know.
Oh, this could be disaster. Dexter actually going for the bloody hunt, but forcing the flicker away and Signal Ultra. Oh my goodness, that's a huge sigh of relief for Signal Ultra. Actually,
Like, we all jumped out of our season that one, but nothing happened. Hype for what?
Oh my, you see the threat of Evo's PH right here, even outside, not giving, just the potential threat of the Iron Milk is way too much. It means that if, Signal Ultra is really lucky that Tets got caught out, not before Hero, because if that is before Hero, Evo PH can instantly initiate, go all ham, and that is the opening that you're waiting for.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, of course, when you hook Kufra, you really have no choice but to run away for your Evos because he's got the bouncing ball, he's super tanky as well. He's not going to be he's not going to be a target you can easily burst down, and there's so much space for the other members of Signal Ultra to provide the counter attack that they certainly are desperately in need of this game.
I'd like to point out both supports of Evo's PH now have immortalities. These are the only kills that Signal Ultra are bleeding for, and they have to kill them twice now. I feel for them. Signal Ultra, they are really just struggling. They have to make it into the late game, but now they can't even leave their base. And where will the carry get their farm? Get their farm to the god.
But
Lord,
again,
resurrecting
guys,
soon.
boys, gentlemen, this is the Comeback Kings. So we also
we
need
did
to
forget about
respect
that,
that Signal Ultra still, they're quite comfortable with this kind of position that they're into right now. Just wait for the opening. They have the initiation that they or rather the toolkit to counter-initiate with the Divine Judgment. But looking at the itemization here of Evo's PH, they have the Necklace of Durant, removing that Bloodlust, removing that life factor from Eason, but a nice initiation here.
Now Honda's going to get chased there by that bouncy ball. Can he actually run away?
Oh,
He's
nice
going to go!
penalty, sir.
Penalty is struck down, though. Here comes Evo with the counterplay there. Oh, just looking like a back-and-forth action indeed. Both teams going head-to-head now. Killer just going to go through the right flank. Dexter tries to look for the target. He goes down, but the Immortality Rune goes up, and so far it's Eason, as well as the other members, creating space for Signal Ultra.
Killer's down.
Killer is still alive,
Oh,
but
he's down, he's down.
you is doing a lot of damage. Honda, can he survive? No!
Oh.
Haji is actually going godlike, but Signal Ultra actually got majority of the members away from Evil, and they got 10 there on the side of Evil's Gate as a consolation prize.
I have to give it to Q for that fight because he single-handedly zoned out.
Oh,
the
Divine
last-
Judgment!
Oh, Haji
That's a
jumped in.
wipeout! Oh my goodness!
Wow.
I told you, the
Signal,
Comeback
the
Kings
combat,
is still
you can
alive.
never count out the heart of a champion.
That's true.
Definitely. But yeah, going back to the last fight, Q single-handedly zoned out Exports the final Last Insanity. I was just trying to remember the name of this guy. It's Last Insanity. He was the only one that was taking damage, and he was just phantom stepping through it.
Yeah.
Well, you see the mobility of this carry is way too high, and I think that's one of the best ways for them to counter this export pick. And you did mention earlier the space that View can provide, where there's damage, and also using the speedy life flow, and also the life flow marking his advantage, ripping down the armor. Well, when we talked about Killer earlier, that he's way too tanky, but carry is really effective to those kind of tanky heroes.
Yep, indeed. Carry is indeed one of the tank specialist marksmen in this game, and he normally gets online extremely late in the game.
So
He's got
very tanky. Athena's shield and immortality. It's crazy if you think about it. Now, he has that much more leeway to create the space they need in these fights.
Yeah, I mean, he's got the Endless Battle. He's got the Golden Staff. That actually makes Carry already online. And so far, this is a momentum indeed for the side of Signal
So many
Ultra.
immortalities coming in from Eva's Gage. If we can't win a 5-on-5 fight, we'll just win with sheer numbers.
Yeah, boys, we're at the end game right now. 16 minutes in, 11-2, and the network is just really close right now. Something's happening in the top lane. Honda might get picked up. Penalty zone
Okay.
where he died. 44 seconds to the sideline. So without the penalty zone, and Signal Ultra really feeling it right now. Even forcing Evo's Page to contest the bottom lane. This is the split push tactic.
Damage. It's really hard, but the Hulk will connect
Oh.
over here. Will the follow be there? No, it won't. And they will just disengage, but the bouncing ball once there.
Look at Few.
Yu is actually all by himself in the bottom lane, which is actually pretty good for Signal Ultra. They're actually playing mind games in front of Evo's PH, like replicas of what Raffalacia has done to them in the previous week.
There we go, the power of the marksman. Late game, 17 minutes.
Oh, there's a jump in though.
Oh, the initiation, and here we go, the Tyrant's Rage hitting 3 heroes, and Killer trying to sustain all of this damage, but no, he will still go down with the bouncing ball. Immortality will not save him, maybe not, the Flicker is in, penalty zone, just in time. Honda trying to control the damage, and D with the Divine Judgment, catching Honda down, he does have the Immortality. Are they ready for round 2? Killer trying to do his best, trying to repel Signal Ultra, but Few getting another one, and Eason just focusing in the tier 3 turrets. Killer almost down here, and this hit by BS. Signal Ultra able to take down and win the comeback. Signal Ultra, the comeback kings.
We totally forgot about them being just experts at that high
I
ground
told
defense.
you so. I told
It's
you
the power of the
so.
marksman. That is where you saw in the latter classes, E versus PH's fight, they were just lacking the damage.
Yeah.
Like, yes, early game, the last Insanity was more than enough to clean up the heroes. But when Carrie had all of the items that she needed, it was just too much for them.
Yeah, like, we actually slept through Carrie. I mean, initially, she actually got that endless battle early on, and we all thought that, you know what, given the rotations that this Gushon that Haji could provide, it could still bode well in favor on Evo's PH. But then, when he got that golden slap, when he slowly slept through getting these items, all of a sudden, we realized, oh my goodness, Signal Ultra is the team. We cannot underestimate them.
Plus, Few was just dodging, like, most of Export spells, they have this delay, though. His reverse, the second spell of Export,
Yeah.
he was just dodging it, left and right, Few. And
So
that was the crowd control. That's the only crowd control Export had. And if he doesn't connect, he's gonna get kited the whole time by Carrie.
And we've seen how Evo's PH, or rather Signal Ultra, were able to kite it one out. And we're looking at our highlights, ladies and gentlemen, on our screens right now. Well, that it has just finished.
That was fast.
It is indeed. But because then again, you see the momentum swing. After the